Yep, I pulled it off.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Yep. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, we're rolling out there. If we're rolling in here, we can get rolling.
Where's my fucking buttons? Do you like that? My song that I have decided to adopt for the EllisTronics podcast?
I think it does the job.
You don't like it, do you?
I do like it.
You're not a good liar. We sound funny.
I'm not 100% in favor of it, but
Right.
I am not. But I am not lying. I've gotten used to it. It just
It
makes
grows
sense.
on you.
It feels like the way a show should start, and this is a show. And until we find something better, I'm 100% on board. How's that?
All right.
Okay.
They're pumped.
So we've done less than 10 episodes of this
We're not even double digits yet.
podcast,
And we're already huge.
Yeah, and we already have our second vegan and our second endurance athlete. We had a vegan ultra marathoner on, and now we have a vegan Ironman competitor. But that is
Although I don't refer to myself as a vegan, but
Do you refer yourself as a plant-based diet guy?
plant-based.
That's
I
what
mean,
they
I'm
do.
vegan, but
That's how they duck it.
I know,
nah, I
I
don't
know.
duck it. I just there's too many douchey vegans
Yeah.
that I
Yeah,
don't
no,
like
they-
to be lumped in with. So.
No, I get that. They bring you down.
But that's where the similarities between you and David Clark was the guy that we had on the show, where the similarities where between you and he, and you have a completely different backstory than him. You would be well known to many listeners as a Cro-Mag.
Right, lead singer of the Cro-Mags since '81. Roadie for the Bad Brains in '80.
Bad brains.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
Those are some wild people right there.
absolutely.
I actually adopted the plant-based diet myself after having David on there.
Oh,
On
nice.
here because of the injury, the pain of working out the next day. And I'm a 45-year-old man who trains mixed martial arts every day, and sometimes I cannot walk. And I'm like, man, this is a sad thing for me because I don't want to give this up. And he was like, you should look into this. And I'm like, what do you mean look into this? And I was so clueless because I've been training mixed martial arts for a very long time. I used to be a professional skateboarder. I know what pain and injury and workouts are. And I said, but how do you get protein? And he was like, that's one of the biggest misconceptions
Right.
of having a plant-based diet. So
Absolutely. I mean, I'm 54. I'm in the gym 2 days after an Ironman.
yeah,
So you recover quicker. It produces less cortisone in the body, which helps you to recover quicker. And just overall health. I've been doing this 36 years now. So the Bad Brains were the ones that hit me to this before all the science was really in. And I mean, I trained martial arts. I boxed. So I come from the street fighting background in New York, and that's just the way New York was back in the day. I got locked up the whole nine. So in the last, I would say 20 years, the science has really come out.
It bears out the assumptions that you guys were operating on.
And then the
first place.
disease aspect of it too. You're seeing all these people dropping dead of heart attacks, and it's Dr. Esselstyn wrote the book Reversing Heart Disease, the guy that was behind Forks Over Knives himself, and the guy who wrote the China study, Dr. Campbell. And when you start looking at the different factors involved, health and the environment and whatever, it just makes sense to me. I want to leave the place better than I found it. So I think these fucking corporations that just are destroying the planet and not having any concern for the next generation and their kids and whatever that's pretty fucked up. So
the China study, which I haven't read but I'm familiar with, it's a pretty simple concept. Please correct me if I'm wrong, John. There's parts of Asia where people don't have much heart disease, and then they looked and they're like, okay, what's the difference between them and here? And a lot of it is that they ate less animal products, and as China has rapidly developed and become wealthier, more and more people are eating more animal products and more Western-style diets, and heart disease is rising.
Well, not just heart disease, but other diseases associated with the consumption of animal products too. You know, even cancer. So it's the largest study ever conducted on the planet, and it was done decades ago, and then it was stopped, and then Campbell picked it up, and it's a great book. You know,
it's gonna be tough being on the plant-based diet, because you're telling me the Bad Brains were doing it then, and you've been doing it for over 30 years. In my experience, I had some vegan friends back when I was a pro skateboarder, and when we went to Europe, they were in hell because they couldn't get food that they needed. Because I mean, it was difficult to get. People would be like, "What are you fucking talking about? You don't want meat and cheese in your
schnitzel."
Yeah, like so. Back then, how did you eat? Was it more difficult, or what was it? What was your diet like?
Well, when we first, I did security for the Bad Brains, and I was the drum tech. So when we used to go on the road in the States, we would actually it was bad in the States too. We actually had to bring a 25-pound bag of beans and a 25-pound bag of rice and tahini, and then we would just get vegetables from the local supermarket and cook up, whosever house we were at. But I mean, the first time we went to Europe was in '87, and at that point, it was, the people that got involved with us kind of knew with the Cro-Mags that, we were, vegetarian, plant-based, whatever. So people would cook food and bring it we had Nina Hagen cook for us and bring us food in Germany, all this food. And so, it was pretty well known, but that, we didn't eat meat and whatever the fucks. But now it's all over the place. There's an app called Happy Cow, which I have in my phone, and I've been in the most diverse, secluded places on the planet, and all the way in the jungles of Taiwan, or in all over Europe and everywhere, and you just put where you're at, and it just brings up every place that has even any kind of option for plant-based people, juices, health food stores.
Yeah, it's never been easier.
Yeah, I've been in Indonesia and all. I mean, it's pretty, all of Singapore. So it was, it's pretty easy now compared to when I first started doing it.
Imagine by now you might be sick of telling your life story. You mean you wrote the book on your life story, and for a lot of people that puts it to bed. But if you wouldn't mind just running through the basic bullets of your life, I mean, it's a remarkable life that you've led.
All right. My memoir is called The Evolution of a Cro-Magnon. It's being re-released at the end of January. It's the second edition, and I redid the audiobook too. But yeah, I grew up. My father was a professional boxer in New York, welterweight, I'm sorry, and very brutal, from Ireland, very brutal toward my mom. I didn't even find out till I was 40 that he broke in and beat her and raped her, and that's how I was conceived, and my younger brother as well. So the whole time, even when my mother was pregnant with my older brother, I'm the middle, he broke her jaw, he beat her, he got ordered by the court to give money to my mother, so she would cash the check, and he would break in, beat her, and take the money from her, leaving her with 3 kids by the time she was 21 years old with no way to pay for anything. And I said in the book, the last memory I have of him, he broke into my mother's house and just started beating the shit out of her in front of us. And
how old were you when you saw that?
I was probably 6.5. It was 79, so I was 69 rather. So I was 6 or 7, and then the cops took us away, and then we went back with her, and she started, you know, spiraling downward, taking pills and whatever the fuck, and the landlady found us in the snow in our underwear, and she was passed out in a dirty apartment, and the state took us away, put us in an abusive foster home for 7 years, where they just had a bunch of kids. They did it for the money. We actually had to steal the fucking dogs' food to eat. The father beat us. The older kids that were there did fucked up shit to me and my brothers, abuse, and you know, all kinds of sexual abuse, the whole shit, you know. And we stayed there for almost 7 years and kept a journal of what they did to us, because my mom was suicidal, so we got visits every once in a while, and we knew that if we said anything that, you know, she was going to freak out and maybe not take us home. So that's why we never said anything. And, you know, I mean, these people were fucking animals. The father was very physically violent towards us. And, you know, so we lasted there, and then...
How many kids, like, all up were in that house?
They had, it was me and my two brothers, then they had 3 more kids, and then 2 kids of their own.
Are they rich?
No, they were poor, but back then they were getting $200 or $300 a month for maintenance to take care of us. In the 60s and early 70s, that was a shitload of money.
So the game plan was get a bunch of kids, get the money, and treat the kids like dogs and live off the kids.
Yeah, and make us work as slaves in the house. They fucking had us, you know, they wouldn't waste water. I tried to take a bath one time, and he came in and just fucking punched me in my face with these rings, you know, and they wouldn't use electricity, so they made us clean. They had shag carpets through the whole house, so they made us use toilet bowl brushes to clean their carpets. You know, we were like the indentured slaves. We had to sleep in the garage. We weren't allowed in the house. We never went in the refrigerator once in the entire 7 years that we were there. So my brother E, my older brother, would stay up late at night, and we would do these bread drawer raids where he would steal bread and a piece of bologna and whatever and make us sandwiches. But then we got hip to stealing, so we would just eat our way through supermarkets, beg change, and then we found out where they started keeping the money because they couldn't put it in the bank. So we started stealing every day, and also buying shit from my mother to try to buy her love. We bought her this Christ head medallion, which I put a picture of in the book, that she still has to this day. Because we figured, you know, if we keep just trying to buy her shit, she's going to take us back. But her boyfriend didn't want us around.
So she could have taken you back, though. At one point, she got sober enough to take you back? Like
she was, but, like, we went home one weekend, and, like, she was fragile as anything. I mean, we went back one weekend, and, like, some argument took place, and she fucking took pills and tried to, like, kill herself. And we had to call our uncle to be like, come on, you know, we were just kids. We're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And she's doing shit to herself, saying she's ugly and nobody wants, and you know. But we were cock blocking on her fucking boyfriend, so he didn't want us around. So that's why we got left in the home. Finally, we realized they wasn't gonna take us, and all this shit went down in the home. Like I was, you know, it's a long story, but basically it finally got to the point where we couldn't take it no more, and we gave in the diary to the social worker, and that man broke down crying when he read the shit that we've been through. Took us out of the home, and then split. My younger brother went to another foster home in Lawrence. And,
split you up?
Yeah, and then me and we were split up initially. We went to an orphanage, and my brother went with my grandmother, but then my grandmother couldn't take him no more, so he went to a foster home in Long Island where it was the Vietnam War. So this man was taking little Vietnamese girls and molesting them. So that house got shut down. Like, the shit that happens to kids in foster care is fucked up.
Is there such a thing as foster care where you get a family that is actually somewhat considerate to the child and wants to help out, or is it?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the percentage?
And then usually they'll move to adopt. So that's a red flag. If they don't ever want to adopt and they just want to keep getting the money, that's kind of like, all right, why don't you fucking adopt these kids? You
It's
know?
weird you don't become emotionally attached to any of them when you welcome them into your house.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever, I mean, you read Dickens?
When I was a younger dude, yeah.
I mean,
Charles Dickens.
I never got through it, but this is like the most Dickens stuff I've ever heard in my entire life. That stuff from England in the 1800s, but this is like the exact same thing.
I mean, this bitch was so crazy, I'm going to tell you. Like, we ate bread and tea every fucking morning. We had to sit on the patio in the freezing cold. We weren't allowed in the house. And one of the meals she always fed us was she didn't like the stuffing on the Oreo cookies, the filling. She liked the wafers. So she would, and she had this black mole under her nose, like a fucking mustache Italian woman. So she would scrape the fucking filling off with her teeth and spit it in a bowl and eat the wafer and then wipe the white filling on bread, stale, moldy bread, and that was our breakfast with a pot of tea. That's what we ate. And they plotted the kids against each other so that we never could, you know, kind of like what this government's doing with the American people, divide and conquer, and that's what they did in this home on a small scale level. They tried to, you know, bribe us. Oh, you know, your brother Eugene was the good kid this week, so he's going to get to pick the box of cereal and eat it in front of all you guys. Like, and they would never give us milk. It was powdered milk. It was like, it was the most, like, but here's the thing, their own kids and them lived high on the hog. They would get the best food, and we would have to be in the patio outside in the freezing cold trying to keep warm, listening to these motherfuckers having like these amazing Italian Sunday dinners.
Did their kids care about you at all? Did you guys ever had any relationships where you were cool?
Their daughter was a total fucking cunt. I couldn't stand her. She would eat in front of us and be
tortured
like,
you.
Yeah,
was a part of it.
Your own mother don't want you, and you're lucky to be here. And then the fucking brother was a fucking drug addict. His friends were dying of heroin overdoses, and he sold drugs. So he was actually kind of cool. Like, he would never give us money or anything, but like one time he gave us a fucking smashed up TV that he didn't want, and you know, we would watch Soul Train and fucking have our own way of dealing with shit, and it was always the music that got me through it. So after they closed that house, they put me in St. John's Home for Boys in 1976, and me and my brother were the only white kids in there, and that was in Rockaway Beach, and the whole neighborhood was Irish. It was nicknamed the Irish Riviera in New York City. So here you are, you're in the black home, the kids are getting beat up by the Irish fucking thugs in the neighborhood, and here we are, the white boys. So I got jumped by 10 kids, fucked up, beat down, and then we sided with this one crazy motherfucker named Bobby Keeler, whose father, he was half Puerto Rican and Irish, and his father was Puerto Rican, and he woke his father up, who was an alcoholic, and the father dragged him to the bathtub and poured lighter fluid on him and set him on fire. So his whole body was scar tissue from the neck down, and he was just a fucking maniac. He was like 5'10", hands the size of cinder blocks, and a killer. He was put in mental institutions and all of these fucked up abusive homes, and then ended up in St. John's with us, and he was kind of like our big brother that was like, all right, none of you motherfuckers is gonna fuck with these two kids. And we kind of hung out with him and went to do graffiti in the yards. And
how'd you get a connection with him?
He was in my brother's wing. My brother was in I was intermediate. He was senior college, senior wing, and my brother was in the wing with him. And they liked rock. He listened to rock. Okay. My brother was a rock dude. So we were going to Black Sabbath in the 70s and all the concerts, and I started getting into punk, you know, like listening to Iggy and whatever the fuck. I liked David Bowie. I liked all the crazy shit. So they thought I was kind of like a freak or whatever. But my brother ended up hanging with these heroin dudes in Broad Channel, and he left. And then I was hanging out with Bobby Keeler, and we took acid. My first acid trip, he had a bad flashback and fucking tried to kill me. He chased me all over with a hunting knife all over St. John's, and after that I ended up leaving St. John's and I went onto the streets of Rockaway, sleeping under the boardwalk. And then
Would have that been a better time for you when you're out there on the streets than in this home where